Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a splendid morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And for the past year, today is the last day of the year, the last day of this program for 2018. In the last year, we've reported to you Monday to Friday on matters surrounding the economy, corruption, politics, democracy, outstanding authors we've had here. We've had here members of the police with their public messages. We've had members of the Air Force, the Navy, and of course, the Army itself. In all of this, the one most outstanding feature has been the political arena, and which has directly impacted on the economy. Or is it the other way around? But a remarkable lack of progress on economic matters, on judicial matters, on the accountability process, on the responsibility and accountability process in terms of reconciliation. But what do we need in 2019? To find out, no better than one of the most seasoned, veteran politicians this country has to offer right now. And he's here in the studio with us, the former chairman of COPE, former minister, former member of parliament, Mr. D.E.W. Gunasekara. Very good morning to you, Mr.
Good morning,
Mr. D.E.W. Gunasekara, as I said, we've reported on current affairs, politics, the economy, corruption, democracy, outstanding authors been here and so on, members of the armed forces. We've been reporting on matters current, but it appears that political chicanery has stymied the economic progress of our country. What do you have to say? What do we need for 2019?
Really 2018, not only 2018, the last 4 years, since the Yahapanala government, 4 years, lost. 4 years lost. Never have I heard such a sorry state of affairs since independence, during a period of a particular government. Completely 4 years are lost. The only salutary achievement was that Morakakanda reservoir, because that is the biggest reservoir that was ever built in our history, in the irrigational civilization. So that is the credit should go to the president and go to the former Mahavali minister. Other than that, what contribution has to be made? You know, the last quarter, the GDP has come down to 2.9%.
Our growth.
Our growth rate. Average 2018, it was either 3.1 or 3.3.
Right.
So previous 5 years, it was between 5 and 8. Now it is 3 and 5. Average is somewhere 3. And last quarter, it came down to 2.9. Never in the history, for last 70 years since independence, our country's economy has declined to that extent.
And therefore, it's clear.
So I can understand there would have been natural disasters, say factors beyond your control. But that of course really affected the agriculture sector, which accounts only for 9% of the GDP. But the other sectors, the industry and the service sector, account for 91%. So really the drought did not affect it so much. So therefore, these are factors within their control. Is it due to mainly due to, I think, economic management, mismanagement, corruption, then I think not a short-sighted economic strategy,
and there's
socio-economic policies.
What about
down the line?
What about a commitment for the judicial process? You know, the responsibility of holding people accountable through the penal code, through the justice system. I'm talking about the bond scam. This is 2018, for heaven's sake. It's the end of 2018. Today marks precisely 1 year since the Presidential Commission report into the bond scam was handed over to the President. And in there, one of the key factors that was asked of from that report was a forensic audit to be carried out by the central bank, to be commissioned by the central bank, so that the full extent of the loss to this country, to you, to me, to Mr. Gunasekara and everybody else out there, to work out what that loss was. And it's a sad state of affairs when it's 12 months. Dr. Kumaraswamy, it is 12 months today. 12 months. Mr. Fernando, Austin Fernando, tried his best to archive that report. But what right did he have? And what was his present for doing that? Mr. Gunasekara, why is it? You've just said that the economic performance has been abysmal. How many times have they debated the economy in Parliament?
How many times we have spoken of this better than this, in this room?
Indeed.
The Yahaparana government, the first performance,
Yeah.
the 50th day performance of this scam.
And you were the chairman of the
bombs, the really bond scam.
Yeah.
And directly, now I would say, bomb scam under the patronage of the government. The first time in the history of any country.
Yeah.
I think such a bond scam had taken place in this highest the central bank under the patronage of the Prime Minister. And that's why the Parliament had to be dissolved, the day that I was about to present the report, Parliament was dissolved, so I failed to present it. Then we had to big pressure on the President to appoint a commission. I was instrumental in bringing pressure. I was the first person to demand for a commission. Then for 11 months the commission sat, and headed by 2 Supreme Court judges and 4 Auditor General. And the report was there. The report has, it was presented to Parliament, never a debate has not taken place yet. Now 12 months, more than 12 months have gone. So the legislature has not considered it their duty. The legislators are really in charge of the financial review in this institution, and failed to debate the commission report. And you both executive, legislature, judiciary, all are silent on the matter.
And that is
the state of affairs.
That is the state of affairs. Why is that? Why has there not been a committed process to reach?
That is why I say it is a scam. It was carried out under the patronage of the government. That is the reason. For the first time, the central bank came under the Prime Minister of this country. Never in the history, always under Minister of Finance. So now I am inclined to probe into the question as to why, what made him to bring central bank under his,
strictly
contrary to the monetary law, contrary to the
Monetary Law Act.
Act.
Because every act, every statute refers to the central bank and the whole process being listed under, there's always a reference to the Minister of Finance.
Yeah.
Always. So in my mind, okay, this is strictly my view. In my mind, I find that there's no other decision, reasoning, other than to think that this was a premeditated, calculated
an attempt,
and perverse attempt, and they thought that they'll get away with it. And the reason I say they thought they'll get away with it is when we go back in history and we examine the Prime Minister's insistence right from the beginning that this was a matter without substance. And he went out of his way to defend Arjuna Mahendran his friend. His decision cost not only millions and billions of rupees losses to the country, but also cost the political fortunes of the United National Party to go south. That's the record. And it is sad and very sad indeed that those who wield judicial authority seem to be treating this entire matter with velvet gloves. Mr. Gunasekara, now that we've said all that, and that's the past.
Look forward.
What do we look forward to? What do we need in the next 12, 13 months before the election comes along?
2019 is almost, I think, definitely going to be an election year.
Right. But what do we need? What do we need the government to do now?
In my view, already I think it's going to be a more chaotic year than 2018. From the statements that are being made by various political leaders, it's going to be a very more chaotic than 2018. Really, what I want to draw the attention of the people is that we must focus attention on the economy more than any other issue. I mean, here, last few months we were facing various crises, constitutional crisis, parliamentary crisis, then social crisis, cultural crisis, political crisis, and conflict between the Prime Minister and the President, various tribal. All these things emerge from basically from the economic state of the economy. And that is the one which needs the highest priority, highest national priority. So, unfortunately, that the legislature is the last place to discuss the economy.
But the team from Good Governance, the Good Governance team led by Mr. Wickramasinghe and his UNP, they made a strong case for being the economic gurus. They made it plain and clear that they didn't believe that the Game Baya couldn't do it. So what have they done?
You know, the last 4 years, the government presented 4 budgets. We had 4 debates. And you just go back and see, I think, our economy has never been under discussion in the parliament for the last 4 years. Not even in the budget debates. They all talk everything on earth except in the economy.
The one matter that they ought to be looking at.
So that is dictated by the political culture.
Right.
Where we have come down.
Well, as you all know, on Newsline and on the evening segment, Newsline Prime, we encourage you to send us your questions. 0772 300 305 by SMS, please. And a card come up on your screen soon, if the control room is awake. 0772 300 305. Now then, Mr. Gunasekara, we have for all intents and purposes, a solo government. Some say a minority government, and with the support of the TNA, as and when it's required on matters of grave import. Now, what should this UNP, they call it UNF, but it's UNP, government do in the next 13 months? What should they focus on? Because obviously, even though they are a minority government, the president is from a different party. And they need the president, and the president needs them. So it's together.
In 2000,
what should they do? Should they have a plan? They didn't seem to have a plan before.
2015, they started as a minority government.
Yeah.
Then it turned out to be a national government. Then it turned out to be a unity government. Now back to a minority government with the backing of the TNA.
Yeah.
It can't exist for a day without the backing of the TNA.
Indeed.
That is right. But here, now, again, even if you hold elections tomorrow,
yeah,
the same situation will be repeated, and no single party will get a majority, no single alliance will get a majority. We will be backed because of the electoral system which is tied up to the executive presidency. You are attempting to transform it from the executive presidency to the parliamentary system without touching the electoral. And I would remind you, when 19th amendment was discussed in the cabinet, there was another 20th amendment was also discussed. 20th amendment related to the electoral system. It was approved by the cabinet twice. It's still being shelved. No one knows, not even the president knows what has happened. 4 years have elapsed. Right? That has been deliberately shelved, so that it continues to be a, is a minority government, so with government without the proper leaders. So we will be eternally in crisis, even after the elections. That's why I would like to draw the attention of all the political parties, as much as that you need a new constitution. Prior to that, along with that, it's absolutely necessary that we have an electoral system to avoid, in order to achieve stability.
Let's find out what that system we need is after this break. Remember, you can send your questions in by SMS to 0772 300 305. Send us your questions straight here, right here, and we'll take them up. On that note, don't go away. We'll go for a break and we'll be back. This is Newsline.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline, where we are in conversation with that veteran politician and the former chairman of COPE, Mr. D.E.W. Gunasekara. Mr. Gunasekara, you said what is required right now is electoral reform. On what lines? What is the basic essence of it?
He says, I proposed, when I was the Minister of Constitutional Affairs, we discussed at length and prepared and it given a report. That report is there. That is, it go in for a mixed system, a seat electoral plus proportional representation. That is the system which ensures a majority for a party to form a government. Because Jayajav then got all the powers concentrated on the executive presidency, and he made it, got that, ensured that the electoral system made in such a way that it will be always be a sort of without a majority. From 1989, we have been facing this problem. Now, for instance, I will give you an example. Chandrika Kumaratunga, in the presidential election, she got 62%. So far, the highest presidential candidate got 62%.
Even the war-winning president couldn't beat that.
62%. But similarly, you had the general election, she got only one MP, majority of one, and continued for 5 years with majority of one.
So there's a problem there.
That is the reason.
And here's a comment. This comment's come through now, and let me read it out in full. Mr. D.E.W. is absolutely spot on. When we travel across Sri Lanka, we can see the depravity that is creeping into the rural economy, making an already difficult situation much worse. And now they are planning to splurge money focusing on an election, and they are planning to renegotiate with the IMF shamelessly. That is a comment that came through Mr. D.E.W. Gunasekara. Mr. D.E.W. Gunasekara is absolutely spot on. The rural economy is in shambles.
I will give you some statistics on the government's own statistics.
Yes.
Now, it's distribution, take the distribution of income.
Yes.
Top 20% of the population, work people, account for 54% of the national income. Top 20%.
Right.
The bottom, the lowest 20%, account for only 4% of the national income. Right?
Right.
See the gap.
Big
Then
gap.
you take the in between, the balance 60%,
Yeah.
account for 42%. The lower middle class and the middle class. I never in our economic history,
Yeah.
the distribution of income is so wide and so wide as today. So that is reflected. I mean, economy, even in spite of the fact that it has been GDP has been multiplying, but the distribution has not been,
So
in the
clearly,
same space.
as you've just pointed
That's
out, clearly our problem is one of inequality,
Equality. Poverty, inequality both.
poverty and
And
equality.
equality both. Then I will get another example.
Yes, go on.
Now,
Go
you
on.
take the working people of the country. 14%
Yeah.
in the public sector, government servants. 26% organized private sector, formal private sector.
Yeah.
Like you all come under the
Yeah.
formal private sector.
Okay.
The balance 60%,
Yeah.
the informal economy. This is the informal economy is the only try shop, payment token, quarter acre, half an acre, 1 acre, 2 acres, shopkeepers. Those people who are not entitled to either pension or EPF, this is the most, I mean, the really pathetic 60%. And no government, no one is interested, focusing attention on this segment of the society. 60%. That person who raised that question really, when he goes into the villages,
Yeah.
this is the 60% really.
The
They are
informal.
the people who are suffering most. And they don't have the bargaining power. They can't strike. If they strike, they will starve and die. Right? This is, and no government, no MP, no one is focusing attention on the 60%. But they are the people who really finally vote and bring these people to power. This 60%.
And it's an irony that it is they who are affected the most.
Most. So these are statistics, the government's own statistics, not something what we have manufactured.
Once more, you are absolutely spot on, because that's what we, Team News First, the Capital Barrage Group, we've discovered the same thing through our Government initiative.
That's correct. I agree with you.
We've discovered thousands and thousands and thousands of what we call the forgotten people. That's probably the 60% inside there that you're talking about.
So there, emerges the problem really our human resources. For the real resources our natural resources are restricted, limited.
Yeah.
Then the infrastructure, the physical resources, we don't have capital. So we'll have to go in for borrowings and other things. That is how we are constructing all the roads and other things.
Yeah.
But really in a small economy like ours, our precious thing is, right, the human resources that we have. I mean, whatever it is, our literacy standard is very high, about 95%. We must, unless and until we develop the human resources, there's no future for our country. These are even today you take the foreign remittances, from where we get the foreign currency.
Yeah.
From the poor people, housemaids who go to Middle East and send the money,
Yes.
About nearly 2 million people are there. They earn sending and we use the money, not through the exports, not through tourism. The bulk is foreign remittances. People through their sweat and toil, they do all sort of menial things and send the money. And,
To keep the home fires going.
But today we will have to, with science and technological development, we must enhance and develop these human resources. Today there is a biggest demand for, say, for instance, nurses in the worldwide. If you have a separate university and send them, 10 housemaids will bring, one nurse can bring the same amount of foreign exchange. And these aspects, our plan, we don't have planners today in the Western because there's no planning in the country. It's a ayale, it go away. The economy, no one is controlling, no one is thinking about the economy. So that's our human resources. These are to build the economy. We will have to our human resources. Everything on earth is built by the 2 hands and the brain. No, what else? You look about, accepting what the nature has created. Everything is through this.
Is Ranil Wickremesinghe trying to address this 60%
He is in
informal
charge
sector through the Enterprise Sri Lanka initiative?
That is only for political gains. Within the next 12 months, what can you do? You can't build the economy in the next 12 months. You can distribute some money to get some votes, that's all. Nothing but.
Do you think
4 years have spent. They have already, 4 years they wasted. And in the last year they are trying to distribute some money. That is to bring votes. Nothing else.
this is Chandagundu, is it?
This is the Chandagundu. Because we have made our voters also corrupt now.
So this is a
Corruption from top to bottom.
So what you're saying is this is another Jill mark then?
Yeah.
Chandagundu.
But I know even that will not work.
It won't work.
I don't think.
Why? Because
Today I think people are, I know segment of the society, about say 10 to 15% at the moment, in response to you or what all you media people are doing, this time they are going to vote for a correct man, regardless of the political parties.
I'm so happy to hear
I
that.
think.
Because Team Newsfirst,
people are making up their mind, slowly but surely.
I hope so too, because Team Newsfirst has always espoused the cause of think before you vote. And we've been disappointed in the past because although the people did think and thought about it long and hard and left various people out, unfortunately those people found their way back in through something sensational called the national list. And although the people voted some people out, to their shock and dismay, clearly, and discomfort, they found them all back in through the national list.
That is another story, national list. There's another fraud perpetrated on our country, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Very soon a book will be published on that, 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Biggest fraud perpetrated by the judiciary, the Speaker and the President of this country. Very soon it will come, 14th Amendment.
14th Amendment.
Defeated candidates to be made eligible for the national list. No such legislation was passed by the Parliament. I'll prove it. The Supreme Court did not allow me to present it. It dismissed.
Please bring it along.
Right.
Please bring it
no,
along.
It's in the print. In print.
Right.
No such. I was in Parliament.
Please, you pick the day. We'll have it on Newsline.
Yeah. You wait and see. The Speaker introduced that small amendment after the passing, after the bill was passed.
Mr. Gunasekara, it's been wonderful having you here, and the questions are coming in thick and fast, but by and large they're all saying that you've got it absolutely spot on, and as you should, with your expertise, your experience. It's like very fine and mature wine indeed. But Mr. Gunasekara, let me take this opportunity to wish you, on behalf of our chairman, our board, and Team Newsfirst, everybody at Team Newsfirst, a very, very happy new year. A new year in which, hopefully, you'll see some change towards a better economic future in this country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so obliged to you constantly coming here, and your commitment to democracy and our country has been unparalleled. Thank you very much. And that's the way it was on Newsline. for 2018. Do take care. We'll see you again tomorrow. And in the meantime, we wish you a very, very happy New Year indeed. Take care and God bless you.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.